Hey runners, welcome back. I'm your host, RR Slugger, and today we're taking a look at the next set in the RoboForce series, 2152 Raptor. Piloted by Chip Nebula, or at least someone who looks a lot like him, here we see our first look at the trans neon green division of this faction. Honestly, I don't know what to call them. The color distribution is weirdly inconsistent across all four models. Let me explain. All RoboForce mechs share the same base colors of light gray and black, but the highlight colors vary from model to model. Two of the mechs use trans neon orange and the other use trans neon green, but it doesn't stop there. Within the trans neon orange mechs, the Robo Raider uses blue as a splash of highlight, whereas the Robo Stalker uses white. Similarly, for the trans neon green mechs, the Robo Raptor uses yellow as a highlight, but the Robo Master goes back to blue. That level of inconsistency might not faze a modern viewer, but remember the era these sets were released in. LEGO space themes were typically very uniform in their color choices and distributions back then. RoboForce kind of stands out as a bit of an oddity here. That being said, I think it was a good decision, as all four mechs appear unique, yet share a similar sense of belonging. The Robo Raptor in particular is a visual high point in the series for me. Strong palette choices and color blocking all around. Consisting of 220 pieces, the Robo Raptor is what I consider to be the most well-executed idea in the RoboForce theme. It's stocky, thematic, and features a ton of articulation, making this model true to its name. The forward lurch of the torso paired with the outstretched raptor claws is such a good look, and the long sloping tail in the rear helps tie the whole thing together. This is a robot dinosaur, and it's sluggin' awesome. But why a dinosaur? Of all the frames in RoboForce, this is the only one that resembles a reptile. You could argue that the tail on the RoboMaster implies some sort of reptilian resemblance too, but I personally think that's a bit of a stretch. Nothing else about that model shares any strong association with this idea. So, is the RoboRaptor just a one-off? Well, weirdly enough, the logo for the series features a reptilian eye within it. At least until we replaced it with a gastropodic one. This correlation leaves the RoboRaptor in a weird spot. It seems to best represent the promises of the theme, while at the same time standing as a total outlier of the bunch. Curious indeed. With that being said, let's dive into some of the details that make this model so interesting. Firstly, the Raptor head features some gray hosing and intricate slope work. Among the printed elements here are a pair of Raptor eyes, exclusive to this set. That's the second set in a row within this series to feature exclusive printing, which is quite the notable anomaly for a region-exclusive theme like this. Along the Raptor's back is a control chair for the runner to pilot the frame. I don't think this was an intended feature, but I found that if I leaned the runner just far enough back and pushed the fingered hinge joints to their limit, the end of the tail could connect with the back of the helmet like this. I'm not sure what this would accomplish, but yeah, there it is. The studded sloping along the back of the frame makes good use of a particular piece that I'd assume most folks watching are unaware of, part 6044. This tapered sloped element bizarrely features 5 studs along its hypotenuse, which initially led me to believe that its origins germinated from around the time of that classic castle wall piece, lined with an identical number of studs. I was wrong though. While that castle wall segment hails from 1984, part 6044 is firmly a machination of the 90s, living and dying during that decade. In fact, the RoboRaptor would be one of its final appearances before retiring the mold the following year. Such a strange and unique piece, though I'd argue that its utilization within this set is quite inspired. A pair of Raptor arms protrude from either side of the model and utilize another 90s piece in part 2639. This one, however, has gone on to see continued use to this day. The Raptor claws themselves are built upon a subassembly that makes me think that detaching them could lead to some high-speed rocket punch action. From the arms to the tail, I really cannot overstate how many fingered hinge joints this model makes use of. In fact, the Raptor features more of them in light gray than any other set. It's worth remembering that the Recon robot from Spyrius contained an equal number in black, showing just how heavily mechs of this era had to rely on solutions like this. The leg assembly found here reminds me so much of the granite grinder from Rock Raiders, but perhaps the inverse is more correct. On the back of each leg is a compartment for installing Robo discs. I could imagine these powering up some sort of sprint or lunging attack. All in all, the Raptor is a really solid set from RoboForce, and just might be the best bang for your buck in the entire series. I highly recommend it, if RoboForce looks to be your thing. For as great as the main model is, let's see if there's anything compelling on the back of the box too. Yeah, that's gonna be a no. They aren't really doing it for me. Sometimes there are some real gems hiding out of sight on the back of these things, and sometimes not. Lucky for us, there's actually another LEGO Magazine alternate build available for this series, and unlike the Robo Raider, this one isn't from the back of the box. Instead, Steven Eisen submitted a model that inspired the LEGO designers to create the Robo Spy. Let's take a crack at it. Well, the Robo Spy didn't skip leg day, that's for sure. I wasn't certain if I was going to like this one, but upon completion, I've got to say that I'm quite a fan of the little tyke. With an almost stout avian appearance, the Robo Spy is decked out with quite literally every printed piece included in the set. A rear-mounted surveillance system allows the Robo Spy to perch and monitor an area, potentially serving as a distant early warning system. I don't think there's much more to say about this one. It's small, fun, and flashy. Before we depart today, I wanted to share one final anomaly I actually stumbled upon back when I was working on the Rock Raiders retrospective. It took me a while to find it again, but I remembered seeing the Raptor listed in a magazine under the wrong name and with an alternate box art. Turns out it was Bricks and Pieces Christmas 1999 edition, which certainly explains why I came across it while working on Rock Raiders. Well, at the bottom of the page, we see two mislabeled RoboForce sets being sold, one of which is called the Robo Blockbuster. However, upon further inspection, it's pretty obvious to see that they just photographed the wrong side of the box. No, guys, that's Spyrius that you're supposed to put the alt builds on the front, not RoboForce. Anyways, the British pound price tags also suggest that these sets were made available outside North America to some extent. I've certainly heard from a number of folks already that this series was not as region-locked as once assumed. This only further confirms it. Ultimately, I think the Raptor is a well-designed, well-constructed set that gives us a look into some of the best this series had to offer. What do you think of this clever girl? Thanks for watching. I've been your host, RR Slugger, and it's the runner, not the frame, that makes the difference.